It is difficult to think of a prominent figure with a more extensive record of intellectual dishonesty than Harvard professor Alan Dershowitz. His insistence on defending Israel's indefensible policies against the Palestinians has driven him to desperation and reduced him to making palpably absurd charges, like accusing the world's leading human rights organizations of supporting terrorism and collaborating with terrorists to smear Israel, charging former President Jimmy Carter with anti-Semitism, and so on. A full accounting of Dershowitz's distortions and dishonesty would take hours, so this short video will stick to a few blatant distortions, particularly to his tendency to smear those with whom he disagrees. In one of his recent books, Alan Dershowitz quotes UN Special Rapporteur for Human Rights Richard Falk as having said, "Palestinian resistance to the occupation, presumably including the targeting of children and other civilians, is a legally protected right." See that part in the middle? Dershowitz made it up. Like a good lawyer, he added the word presumably in his brackets to keep himself from getting sued for libel. But the only people who would presume that Falk supports the killing of children, when he has never said anything of the kind, are dishonest propagandists like Dershowitz. Or take Noam Chomsky. Despite the fact that Chomsky has repeatedly made it absolutely clear that he has only defended the right of Holocaust deniers to free speech,
I have the slightest doubt that every commissar says, "You're defending that person's views." No, I'm not. I'm defending his right to express them. The difference is crucial, and the difference has been understood outside of fascist circles since the 18th century. Going back years, I am absolutely certain that I've taken far more extreme positions on people who deny the Holocaust than you have. For example, you go back to my earliest articles and you will find that I say that even to enter into the arena of debate on the question of whether the Nazis carried out such atrocities is already to lose one's humanity.
But are you denying that the gas chambers ever existed?
But I'm saying if you believe in freedom of speech, you believe in freedom of speech for views you don't like.
Dershowitz continues to dishonestly cite this commitment to free speech as evidence that Chomsky is himself a Holocaust denier. Or take Norman Finkelstein, whose book Beyond Chutzpah is the single best compilation of Dershowitz's distortions, and Dershowitz predictably tried to prevent its publication by the University of California Press. Using guilt by association, Dershowitz tied Finkelstein to David Duke as co-invitees to what was later dubbed Iran's Holocaust Denial Conference, and said that Finkelstein ended up not going to that conference, quote, apparently because of a disagreement about how much time he would be allocated for his speech. Now let's go to the video that Dershowitz cites for this claim.
And I have to conclude, if you don't want to tell me who's invited, if you don't want to give me a respectable amount of time to speak, and if you don't let me speak to students at the university, then this is not going to be a serious conference, it's going to be a circus, and there's no point in attending. And to attend a conference where all the other participants believe the Nazi Holocaust is a myth is the equivalent of attending a conference with the Flat Earth Society. What does David Duke know about the Nazi Holocaust?
See what Dershowitz did there? He ignored Finkelstein's condemnation of the conference as a circus and selectively cited the least significant reason for Finkelstein's absence to imply that he supported the conference in principle. This is particularly offensive, considering that both of Finkelstein's parents were Holocaust survivors. Or take his warmongering against Iran. He quoted Iranian president and demagogue-in-chief Ahmadinejad as having said, quote, "No excuse could deprive the country from this right to nuclear weapons." Now let's look back at the original text in the New York Times article that Dershowitz cited. Quote, he insisted that Iran had the right to a peaceful nuclear program and that no excuse could deprive the country from this right. Neat how Dershowitz decided to change the phrase peaceful nuclear program to nuclear weapons, isn't it? I've barely scratched the surface of Dershowitz's chronic economy with the truth, but the links in the video description provide more thorough accounts. What's most amazing is that Dershowitz himself embraces the logic of terrorists around the world when he says, in democracies, people are accountable for the actions of their leaders. People pay consequences when they vote for warfare. Of course, he made those comments in the context of justifying Israel's collective punishment of Palestinian civilians. But by that standard, Israeli civilians would too be fair targets of cruelty for their voting for right-wing warmongers, but don't expect moral or logical consistency from Dershowitz's arguments. Whether it evokes feelings of outrage, pity, or amazement, Dershowitz's no-holds-barred, no-integrity standards to abide by approach has actually earned him a great deal of success. As James Zogby put it to him in a CNN debate,
"You're a great lawyer for guilty clients, Alan. It doesn't..."
Indeed he is. And while we, having to actively endure him, may find it difficult to see him in a positive light, his long-lasting contribution to humanity could actually be a positive one. Perhaps he is this long-awaited case study in exceptional dishonesty that will trigger major breakthroughs in the field of psychology or something. Who knows?